A low, guttural growl tore through the tranquility of the morning, a sound that spoke of primal hunger and raw ambition. Underneath a canopy of twisted branches, heavy with the promise of a sweltering day, two figures stood face to face. They were not strangers. They were not enemies. They were blood. Yet something ancient and untamed had risen between them, something that transcended their bond, something primal, something competitive. In the heart of their shared territory, a single deer had strayed in, weak and alone, oblivious to the danger that lurked in its path. But the leopards, oh, they were anything but oblivious. They too were weak and alone, separated and scattered, driven apart by the relentless march of hunger, forced to confront a harsh reality. They could either unite and hunt as brothers, or they could claim the lone deer as their own, settling for what little it offered. But if they chose to fight, there could only be one winner. The other would feast while the rest would wait, watch, and bleed. It was a dilemma etched in the very essence of their being, a testament to their instincts honed by generations of survival. Their mother had vanished weeks ago, leaving them to navigate the complexities of their world without her guidance. No more comforting presence, no more shared kills, no more unity. Just the echoing silence of an empty den and the gnawing emptiness of an unfulfilled hunger. At first, they had hunted together, clumsy and chaotic, but unified against the challenges of their unforgiving terrain. But as the days grew longer and the prey grew scarce, the dynamic shifted. The rules of their world changed. The first to strike would eat, the other would bleed. Now, here they were, frozen in a tableau of tension beneath the indifferent gaze of the sun. The younger one, agile and restless, crouched low to the ground, his eyes fixed on the distant rustle of the deer's tail. His muscles coiled like springs ready to unleash, his every sense focused on the prize. But his older brother stood between him and his goal, his tail flicking in a gesture of challenge, daring the younger to make a move. This was no longer about the deer. Not really. It was about something deeper, something more profound. A battle for dominance, a fight for position, struggle for the future. It's a silent bond they had forged from days huddled in the same den. Sharing warmth and dreams was now cracking under the weight of their need, threatened to shatter completely. Then, as if a spark had ignited the tinderbox, a blur of movement, a clash of fur and fang. And the forest floor erupted in a whirlwind of dust and fury. No roar, no mighty bellow, just the breathless violence of two young leopards locked in a deadly embrace. They grappled and twisted, a flurry of claws and teeth, each strike laden with the desperation of hunger. Each parry a testament to their shared history. They didn't want to kill each other, not truly. But neither would yield. Neither could afford to back down. This wasn't hatred that drove them, but something more fundamental, more primal. An unyielding will to survive, an ancient instinct to inherit, to claim what was rightfully theirs. Nature demanded a crown, even among brothers. The fight was a whirlwind of fury and determination, a testament to their shared strength and separate wills. Every muscle, every sinew, every ounce of their being was focused on the struggle, but it was a battle without honor, a war without quarter. And in the end, it was the older brother who prevailed. Months of experience, of battles fought and won, told on his paws, told on his jaws. With a final surge of strength, he pinned the younger one down, his massive paws on the other's haunch, his jaws inches from his brother's throat, a silent threat that reverberated with unspoken power. He didn't bite, he just held, waiting, his chest rising and falling in slow, measured breaths, sending a steady drumbeat of dominance into the very core of the younger leopard. It was a display of power, a statement of fact. This was his kill, his moment, his right. And in every heartbeat, he was saying, not yet, not today, but remember. Then, and only then, did he step back. The younger one rose, limping, scratched, defeated. But in his defeat there was a quiet dignity, a recognition of his brother's strength, a nod to the unyielding force of nature that had dictated their actions, driven them apart. He didn't challenge the older brother, didn't demand a share of the spoils. He turned and melted into the undergrowth, his lithe frame disappearing into the shadows, leaving the victor in possession of his hard-won prize. When the older leopard returned to the kill, the deer was gone. It had vanished as silently as it had come, leaving behind no trace, no bones, no blood. Neither brother had truly won the deer, yet both had claimed something far more significant. In the tapestry of their lives, the older brother had established dominance, secured his place as the stronger, the hungrier, the better hunter. The younger had learned a harsh truth about their world, about himself, about the cost of ambition and the price of hunger. But amidst the chaos, amidst the struggle, amidst the dust and the fury, something else had been born. Fierce determination, a burning resolve. For the younger leopard, the defeat was a bitter pill, but it was also a catalyst. It forced him to look beyond his brother, beyond the confines of their shared past, beyond the fading echoes of unity. He began to carve his own trail, to hunt on his own terms, to define his own future. The forest became his classroom, the animals its pupils. And the older leopard, though victorious, bore the scars of his triumph, the wounds, both physical and emotional. A constant reminder of the cost of survival in a world where even brothers are rivals. Their paths diverged. The older one stayed in the familiar territory, content in his dominance, basking in the sun's warm embrace as he surveyed his domain. The younger one ventured farther, climbing into the highlands, seeking new hunting grounds, chasing the promise of fresh prey, testing his skills against different prey. As days turned into weeks and weeks into months, the memory of their battle faded into the rustling leaves and the silent stars. The brothers went their separate ways, meeting again only in shared dreams and half-remembered battles. One climbed higher into the treacherous cliffs and crags, honing his skills against the mountain goats and ibex. The other descended into the emerald depths, stalking the elusive prey in the shadows of the thick foliage. Yet every time their eyes met across the divide, there was a spark of recognition, a flicker of understanding, a silent acknowledgement of the bond they once shared. A bond that even the harshest realities of nature couldn't sever completely. For they knew, despite the battles, despite the hunger, despite the thirst for dominance, that they were linked by something deeper, something more enduring than their ambition. They were bound by the echoes of shared laughter, by the memories of a life before the hunger, by the ghost of a mother's love that had nurtured them both. Their paths diverged, but their destinies remained intertwined, forever linked in the grand narrative of the wild, forever bound by the ancient law of the jungle. If you've made it this far, you're part of our pack. If you love stories like this, please show your support. Your likes fuel our journey, guiding us through the wild terrain of storytelling. And if you're drawn to tales that echo with the heartbeat of nature, don't forget to subscribe. Together, we'll navigate the untamed wilderness of imagination, where every turn reveals a new chapter in the saga of the wild.